Hi, welcome to the coaching game. And guess who's here? Guess who's here?
Yes, it's me, Terry Yoffe, and we are doing Coaches Creating Change. I love this title. My whole talk, my whole world is about creating change. I have that everywhere, and this is just another place for us to look at
It's
how
it's
can
so
we create change.
yeah, it's so interesting because as we were younger, when we were younger, I guess, not as, when we were younger, it was like, oh my God, don't let anything change. We don't want to deal with the unknown. Now it's like, come on, bring it on. We know that within each change, there is an opportunity of some kind, or a lesson, or something that's going to benefit us down the road. I guess that's the benefit of wisdom. You can look back.
Uh-huh. Mm-hmm.
I see why that happened now, but boy, I sure didn't understand it when it was going on.
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
we are encouraging change at all times. So good for us, I guess. Hopefully good for you. What we thought we might want to talk about today is, since we're talking about change, is it's almost the fourth quarter. We're in the third quarter, running down to the fourth quarter of the year. And it's like, what you going to do with those last 3 months of this year, concerning all the plans you made at the beginning of the year? And we thought it would be, we're not sure what we're going to do. So we're going to be interested to kick it around and say, hey, what did we learn? What are we going to revise? What are we going to keep? All that stuff. So, Terry, you got any thoughts on that?
Well, I think it's always interesting to look at this time of the year and kind of look in the rearview mirror just to see
Mm.
what were our goals for this year. Other than most people lose weight, go to the gym. But besides that, what were ours, what were others' desires for 2024? And
Right.
now, when we come to the last leg of the race, so to speak, what got done? What got done? Did you achieve what you wanted, or at least some of it,
Mm.
or did you not? And if you didn't, how do you how do you feel about it?
Yeah, yeah. Interesting because it's like, and also what got in the way. It's like, okay, because your intentions are good and you set it up just right, and then whoa, something got in the way. Um, so yeah, to evaluate all that. But and I think you're going to get a slew of advice from other people. Don't look in the back of the mirror. You've been there. But I think that's how you kind of learn. It's like, wow, okay, I did make it, but I could have done it so much easier. Or there were other ways I could have got this done that would have been more beneficial to myself. So it doesn't hurt to look back there. Don't stay back there, but just take a glance and say, my goals for the year were, and I hope everybody wrote them down. I used to think, that's so silly. I don't remember. I don't remember my goals. So it's like write them down and take a look and see how you did and what you want to do with what you did or did not do to bring up the end of the year and start the new year. I can't believe we're talking about starting a new year, but we are. We are. So yeah.
Exactly. And sometimes what happens, and I'm sure it happens often than not, we set these goals or these ideas of what we want for the year, but then things change.
Mhm.
And maybe mid year, we say, wait a second, I had these three things, but these aren't really what I wanted. So you put in place something else.
Yes. Yeah.
And if you put other things in place, how did you do? How did the year turn out? And were you satisfied with how the year went? Or you weren't? And then looked at what got in my way?
Mm-hmm.
You know, fear. Oh, I made up a bunch of excuses. Fear got in the way. Thing is, nobody wants to do the hard work. Nobody wants to do the hard work. We all want the easy or the avoidance. But in order to get to where you want to go, unfortunately, you have to put in the hard work.
Yes. Yes, and I like the looking back and saying, you know what, it's okay if things changed. I mean, they say, oh, don't vary from your path. The path to success is straight ahead, forge through anything. Not necessarily. I mean, let's take a look at and we won't do any uh affiliation, but let's just take a look at the election for this year. It's like when we started this year, it was totally different than where it is right now. God only knows where it will be at the end of the year, but we're going to go along with that ride. But it sometimes change is necessary. Sometimes you can veer off the path. And sometimes you can go back on the path. You can say, oh, I shouldn't have done that. Let me get back to where I think should have been. But it's all a matter, I think, of being open to, I think one thing that would get in your way more than anything else would be self-criticism. Like, oh, I didn't get it done. Oh, I didn't do it the way I wanted. Oh, I could have done it better. Just forget all that and objectively, if you can, and that's so hard to do when you're talking about yourself, objectively see, what happened and what do you want to do with that information? And hopefully that will guide you at least till the end of the year and then give you a clearer path where, the path for 2025, 2025, where 2025 will be. Yeah.
Yes, I want to pick up on what you said. It's accurate. We always want to beat ourselves up.
Mhm.
I didn't lose the 10 pounds I wanted. I didn't go to the gym as often as I wanted. I didn't do whatever. And, you know, if you acknowledge it and say, okay, I didn't. However, today I can start doing that,
Yeah.
even if it's midstream.
Hmm.
Okay, a new day, a new thought process, but it's always, what excuse do we give ourselves that really don't serve us? The woulda, coulda, shoulda
Mhm.
doesn't get us to where we want to go. And that's the sad part, that we all have these elaborate stories or elaborate excuses that seem pretty good, except they don't get us to where we need to go. And I think if that's the case, then start looking at, what excuses do you come up with? What stories do you tell yourself? So that's the first step, becoming aware of what's getting in the way.
Most definitely. I think we come up with excuses sometimes because we want to rationalize, well, I didn't do that. I didn't lose the 10 pounds because, or I didn't save the money I wanted to because. And you come up with excuses and rationalizations. Sometimes they're real, sometimes they're not. But it doesn't, like you say, it doesn't get you where you're going. So, okay, just accept you didn't lose 10 pounds. Now, what do you want to do with that information? Do you want to, is this a valid goal or, are you cool with the extra 10 pounds? Is that where you want to put your energies? Maybe you found something else. Maybe your health got in the way, which happens a lot. And maybe you go, oh, you know what? 10 pounds is not my priority right now. It's like getting myself into a healthy shape. But it's like rather than make excuses and rather rationalize, it's like, oh, this didn't happen because of this. Sometimes you blame yourself. A lot of times you blame other people and circumstances. It's like it's easier to do that. And sometimes, and it's like, okay, now what do you want to do with that information? Do you want to, I guess step one would be, is it still a valid goal? It was just like the election, there were valid goals in January. There are different goals now. And there will be come November and December, I'm sure. So is that valid? And I don't. This is where coach comes in, I think, and comes in really handy. Because I'm always amazed at how the mind can trick itself into thinking, well, that's right. Of course I'm right. And you're just really rationalizing your fear or your hesitancy or whatever
Absolutely.
got in your way. So maybe that's where you call in a coach and go, okay, is this a valid rationalization? Is this real? Or what's the real? And dig together with the coach and see what you can find. But if you can do that with yourself, cool, do that. But I think that's step number one. It's like, okay, what really happened, and was it good or was it, I'd hate to do good and bad. Was it, yeah,
Productive.
there you go. Was it productive or is it something you could put, on the back burner? I
And
don't
and and that's true. If you're aware. So being mindful and being self-aware really helps to understand what's going on. That, when you haven't lost 10 pounds or didn't ask for a promotion or didn't go to the gym, you can stop and say, wait a second, who am I fooling with all of my brilliant stories or excuses? And then once you understand that, you can either decide, I can do this myself, which usually is rare,
know.
or alternatively, bring in and hire a coach who is non judgmental and will help you cut through the excuses to really look at. And my experience is under the excuses and the stories, there's always usually a fear. Usually. And even with losing 10 pounds,
Mhm.
well, if I tell people I'm going to lose 10 pounds, the fear could be, what if I don't do it? What
Right.
are people going to think of me? That I couldn't get to my goal, um, or whatever it is.
Mhm.
And it's not easy to not listen to the mind, which is always there to protect. And most people don't know the difference between their own voice and the voice of the mind. So becoming more mindful and self-aware and having somebody help you
Mhm.
can cut through the red tape, so to speak, and have you look at what goals really mean something to you. And then it's, how hard do I have to work to get there? And, as I said, people don't like to do the hard work. Nobody does. But
I
if
think
you
I think they
want,
might be scared to do the hard work. It's like, yeah.
either scared or, people want easy. If you wave the magic wand, they'd be perfectly okay. But the thing is, you don't get to where you need to go without the hard work.
Right. Right.
And
I
that's the lesson.
that is the lesson, and it's interesting because you said the mind, it is there to protect you. It's there to protect you whether you need it or not, and it could be an old protection. It's like, oh, remember in sixth grade when you raised your hand and asked to go first, and they said no, I can't ask for a raise. What if my boss says no?
Oh,
uh, you
right.
know and
Exactly.
you're still protecting
Exactly.
yourself from that. So
Right.
but you don't realize this, and that's where the coach comes in. It's like, okay, let's really get down and see what you're really. what you're really afraid of. And ironically, because you and I are constant, when you talk about people are afraid, they're mostly afraid of change. And that's what you and I are always talking about. Let's change, let's get out there, let's do something totally different, let's look at it a different way. But a lot of people, no, give me that straight and steady path. And I'll be fine. Just don't make me go off the path because I don't know
But
what to do.
but that's the mind not wanting change.
Hmm.
Because it thinks you're still a child. It
Yes.
doesn't know you've grown up. So you will fight with the mind to make the changes, and it's not that easy. The rewards are so great that you'll say, oh, it was worth it down the road.
Yeah.
I'm going in for knee replacement surgery in 2.5 weeks. I am not looking forward to it because, my knee hurts and I put it off. Talk about excuses. Had my own, but, and it's a lot of work to get your knee moving. You have to do the physical therapy. You must move your knee, and it hurts.
Mhm.
So I'm preparing myself for doing it because in the end, my knee won't hurt me and it'll be in much better shape.
Good point. And good example because there are some things where it's like, okay, I think all of us got into coaching, or everybody that I know got into coaching because they were doing all the things they thought they wanted to do. And there's that little niggling feeling that says, this isn't working, or there's something else, or that I'm not really fulfilled. So we figured, okay, we've done all that. Let's go be a coach. Let's see what that means. And then when your world expands, it's like, yeah, that's what it was all along. However, we have to appreciate that some people are in the middle of survival, and but that doesn't mean you can't change. You can be in the middle of survival and working really hard and trying to put food on the table for your kids, it's all a matter of perspective then. It's like, okay, how am I going to look at like this? Like Terry's looking at, okay, I got two weeks until I go into heavy duty physical therapy. It's gonna hurt. But the end result is gonna be I can walk again without being pain. So it's just a matter of looking beyond your boundaries and the things that
Right.
are keeping you kind of fenced in, because it's like all I can do is go to work and come back and go to work and come back. No, you can change. Even in those dire situations, those of us who have actively made the choice and said, "Oh, you know what? I made it to the pinnacle of my career," and it's like, "Nah, I want to do something different." That's a luxury. We accept that, but we can also accept that everybody can change their perspective, and when you do that, that changes your world. So rather than fear change, it's easier said than done. Because yeah, like Terry, I put off a procedure. I swear I think it was at least 18 months. I would Dutch and ditch and all. I would just go around in circles. But I got it finally done, thank heavens. But we can all come up with our own excuses, but sometimes you have to call your own bluff or let someone else do it for you. It's like, am I go and ask, am I being realistic here? And see what answers you get.
And the sad part is that we settle
Mhm.
for less than who we are or what we want. And that's the part where we don't, we're not willing to go out on a limb. We're not willing to let go of the trapeze to get to the second one.
Mhm.
We have to be in limbo in the middle. And that's the learning. That's where you learn about yourself. And so many people are willing to give all that up because they can't let go, and they poo-poo what's on the other side, or they again make up an excuse
Yes.
for that, so that they don't have to do it. Look, life is not fair. Life just is. And that's just the way it is. It just goes along. It's not fair. You have to take life in control for yourself. You
Mm.
can't wait for life to do something for you
Yeah.
because it doesn't care. It's just moseying along, if
And
you
it'll
will.
mosey along with or without you. So you may as
That's
well get in
exactly
there
right.
and do
That's
your
right.
thing. Yeah.
You know,
Even more sad is like when you've made that excuse and you haven't moved, you start telling yourself, well, you know what? I really don't deserve that raise. Or you know what?
mm,
I don't
mm,
deserve to lose 10 pounds. I've got other things to wear. And you start convincing yourself that not only can't you do it, you're not worthy of it. I shouldn't be doing this. What?
right,
I want a
right,
raise. Stop. What am I talking
right.
about? Other people
Oh,
aren't working. Yeah. So first, I think you have to
oh God.
do a little self-esteem work. It's like, and start thinking, yeah, my life is hard and I don't deserve this. I deserve better. So what can I do to make it better? What
Right,
little teeny thing? It doesn't have to be huge, just a little teeny thing. And
right.
get yourself out of that mindset if you can, because that's the killer. That's the one where I don't deserve.
Oh,
Like,
you,
yeah, you do.
one of my podcast guests said, we're in the not good enough pandemic,
Ah,
which I love.
yeah.
And that is so sad. How many of us, I was that way, I'm sure you were,
Hmm.
that we didn't feel we deserved something. So we sabotaged ourselves,
Yeah.
right? And when you get clear that you are worthy, valuable, and good enough to have everything you want, because who told you? Maybe it was a family member years ago that ball and chain is just come with you into the present.
Or even worse, like a 4-year-old kid who had no idea what they were talking about. But
Mhm.
it's like, you got to let that go.
Right,
Yeah.
right. Those were just beliefs. They were stories. They don't mean anything. You
Yeah.
have to decide for yourself that you're good enough and worthy. And
Mm.
God darn it, I'm going to be the best I can be.
Yeah. I think one thing that, and sometimes I recommend this to some of my clients, would be just an accomplishment journal. I have a folder that's called wins. And I just, whenever something cool happens, I either print it out or I stick it in the folder. And just to remind yourself that there are things that you've done that are really pretty good accomplishments amidst all the madness. And you may not be where you thought you were going to be 10 years ago or 10 weeks ago. But there are things that you've done. And I think if people would start doing that and writing down, oh, you know what? I made a great supper tonight and I had never made this. Just little things and build on that. I got this paper into my boss ahead of time.
Right,
That's an accomplishment. These are all accomplishments.
right,
But like you said, when we hear the criticism, boy, we can accentuate it, we can expand it, we can overwork it forever. Compliments, not so much. It's like, yeah, yeah, because again, well, we didn't deserve that. It was just a meal.
right,
It wasn't a
right,
meal. You made it. Yeah.
right. And that is, for me, the saddest. And it takes a lot to feel worthy. It does. I mean, it doesn't take a lot. All you have to do is keep telling yourself you're worthy and celebrate, like the dinner, like I got a compliment, I
Yeah.
accomplished something, instead of us. They lied, they didn't know what they were saying, right?
Exactly.
And again, there's so many excuses that we can make for not accepting who we are
Yeah.
in this world. and going after what we want and surrounding ourselves with people that cheer us on, that are positive instead of the naysayers and those that would rather tear you down
Mhm.
than build you up. Who you hang out with is a reflection of your mindset.
That and yes, and I've started doing this way too late, I think, but nonetheless, I'm getting it done. It's like, who are the energy drainers? Who I need
Yeah.
people as I get older and older, I need energy. I need more energy. I want people to and inject me with energy and inspiration and enthusiasm. But I have been hanging out and I realized with a couple of people who were just like draining me dry. And
Yeah.
it's like, why am I doing this? It's like, I don't
Right.
want to hurt their feelings. No, no, I have to come first now. So yeah,
Right.
it is very important that you hang out with and that's why I love the coach community because we all hang out with each other and
Right.
we know
Exactly.
the feel and we know what, how to deal that with. Yeah, it's very important that not only do you hang out with important people, but you consider yourself important too, worthy of the effort. And I think what Terry and I are saying in this last 2 minutes is go ahead and look back. Go ahead and look back objectively, but also don't forget, look back and see what didn't work, but look back and see what did work. How did you get that done? How did you get all the way here to September? And hallelujah, you did some good stuff. So yeah, I think it's a hard one. It's a hard one, but you got to keep at it. You got to keep at it.
Absolutely. That's what we're here for, to
Yes.
keep working, keep learning, keep growing.
Yeah, and I think after, and I don't know, maybe I think that came with age a little bit. It's like, okay, now what am I going to do? I don't really have that chosen path, but it's like, what am I going to do? Well, there's so much out there I haven't done yet. I'm going to keep doing it and see what I can add on to, and push myself to whatever limits I can. So, we're encouraging you all to do that as the fourth quarter comes up. But maybe a good thing to do first is check out that rear view window mirror that Terry says, take a look and let's see where we've been and how we got there and how we can go even further in this last quarter here. Yeah.
Right. For sure. I'm going to be doing it as well.
I think we both will. So
Right.
on that
Absolutely.
on that positive note, I hope we're going to say okay, see you in October when
See
the
you
fourth
in
quarter really
October.
does start. And
Right.
yeah,
Absolutely.
so keep looking forward and backward.
Take care.
Take
Bye.
care. Bye bye.